Let's talk about hot names on the board. Quarterback derby will begin as soon as the Super Bowl is finished. And this is a unique marquee list of veteran guys that are out there that might be moving. We'll start with Jimmy Garappolo coming off the fractured foot. Garappolo is an unrestricted free agent. San Francisco cannot franchise tag him, which means he goes on the open market and he can negotiate with anybody. He could come back to San Francisco if he wished to come back to San Francisco, but I think he's looking other places. The only glitch with Jimmy Garappolo is just there's such an injury history. The wild one is Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. He wanted, and they negotiated during the course of the season, John, he wanted a Deshaun Watson contract, which is 5 years guaranteed from the first minute I sign it to the last minute I'm in your locker room. I'm guaranteed everything. 5 years, $250 million.
Wow.
No, Baltimore said no. We're not guaranteeing you all 5 years. There's an injury issue here because the type of quarterback he is.
Mm-hmm.
So that thing is at loggerheads. Now, most people are of the opinion that Lamar Jackson will re-sign. What complicates it is he's his own agent. So
Really?
We're sitting across the table from each other. Lamar, we love you. But you know what? In the fourth quarter of crunch time, you completed 51% of your passes. Lamar, we want you back. But Lamar, you're always getting hurt. Agents shield the player from the negative stuff that the owner wants to use as it relates to negotiations. Instead, Lamar's going to sit there and have to listen to whatever the adverse stuff is that's coming from the general manager, Ernie DaCosta, of the Baltimore Ravens. He's unsigned. I have a hard time believing he would leave. The Ravens could franchise tag him. They could tag him for 1 year and keep him. Price tag would be $32 million, 1 year only. But there's no security because if he goes out and he suffers a bad injury, there's no signing bonus. It's just $32 million flat, kind of John Riley type money. $32 million flat. But if he gets hurt, all of his leverage and his bargaining power goes away. So it's a real big issue as to what they might do with Lamar Jackson. Baker Mayfield is out there. Is he a true starter, big money starter? I don't think so. He did play well in spurts when he finally got to the LA Rams. He showed what he could do with better people around him. He's probably more affordable, and maybe he goes in on a 1 year contract somewhere, signs and say, give me the ball, let me play, let's see what we can do, and then goes back on the open market a year from now. Aaron Rodgers, love me not. I don't think he's going anywhere because Green Bay's got a cap issue. I mean, if Green Bay were to trade him, that's a $31 million salary cap hit. They're not going to do that, even if they're getting the New York Jets' #1 pick. So I think Rodgers winds up staying there. The Derek Carr quandary, he becomes a free agent in February if they don't pick up the option. And the question is, can the Raiders trade Derek Carr's contract? I hear Washington. Can they trade it to Washington? Does he accept the trade because he's got the full no-trade clause? You're not going to trade him to hell. He's going to pick and choose where he wants to go, but he's got to find the team that's got the cap space. So that thing remains interesting to see. I think the date on his contract option kicking in at $40 million, I think his date is February 14th. I don't think he's a $40 million a year contract, but he will be traded. Daniel Jones, Giants, is a free agent. Don't think New York lets him out of there. But again, he's going to get star money because he became a star player finally in his final year of his original contract. Matt Ryan of Indianapolis, that's a 1 year rental. Awful season with the Colts. Prior to that, tremendous seasons with the Atlanta Falcons. He's a very affordable quarterback. And I don't know what to make of Carson Wentz because every place he's stopped at now, he's been jettisoned out. And they're not going to bring him back in Washington, I don't believe, after Indy let him go, after Philadelphia let him go. So those are the marquee names to keep an eye on. You know, once we get to the day after the Super Bowl, when the free agent window opens, these guys, in most cases, are going to go on the open market.
I'm curious to see what happens because some of these guys may not, become the starting quarterback. They may be the number 2 wherever they land. Especially someone like a Carson Wentz. But you think about the 49ers and what they went through, going through 4 quarterbacks and having nothing left in the tank. Would have been nice to have one of these guys on the roster. I'll tell you what. And it makes me also wonder what the Niners are going to do with Purdy and with Trey Lance. So I think this is going to be very intriguing because every one of these guys is a marquee dude. But Matt Ryan may just choose to hang it up.
I don't think so. I think he still wants to play. I don't think he's going to be allowed to come back and play where he was at this point in time. But, you got all these veteran name guys, and we haven't even talked about the draft, because there's probably 4 quarterbacks going to go in the first round of the draft, and 2 of them are going to go maybe in the top 4 picks. C.J. Stroud, Ohio State, Bryce Young, Alabama. So I can't recall in any recent years a off season where we've had so many quarterbacks in the churn who could get their mail sent to a new address, and you got the kid quarterbacks on top of it. Hey, before we move